Witch Trials Weekly, Video 34, September the 2nd to September the 8th, 1692. Neighbor against neighbor.
Mary Parker and her daughter were arrested around this time. Rebecca Eames said that Mary Parker's daughter had kissed the devil. Mary had to perform the touch test before her examination even began. The girls were sure she was the woman afflicting them, even though she said, "There is another of the same name," her sister-in-law. Mary Warren convulsed so badly that blood came out of her mouth. Still, Mary Parker insisted that she was innocent, something that had become a rarity as these trials progressed. In Boston, Cotton Mather delivered a sermon to some of the suspects in Boston prison. He knew that some of these people were genuinely innocent and mixed in with the seemingly guilty. He did believe something diabolical was happening in Salem and condemned the genuinely guilty. He began to write his own account of what was happening with the trials. He used what he had heard from various sources as well as what was said by some of the judges, of course asking for their permission and assistance. Reverend Deodat Lawson had written himself an account of what was going on. It was entitled, "A Brief and True Narrative of Some Remarkable Passages Relating to Sundry Persons Afflicted by Witchcraft." This only covered what he witnessed early on. Jane Lilly, Mary Taylor, and Mary Colson were all kin or neighbors of suspected Lydia Dustin, and fellow suspect Mary Marshall suspected them all. Mary Taylor glared at Mary Marshall when she said, "She has beat me and come to persuade me to worship her God, and told me my God could not save me. And she has brought images to me." Mary Taylor tried to deny being a witch before eventually confessing. Jane Lilly, however, continued to insist her innocence. Mary Marshall said that she first became afflicted when Mary Colson's mother, Lydia Dustin, was arrested. She said, "These three, Taylor, Lilly, and Colson, came to me and said, 'Reverend Pierpont said that psalm, God will be a husband to the widow, but he would be none to me,' they said. They told me also, if I had served their God, my husband had been alive yet." Mary Marshall had been widowed twice. Mary Colson asked that if she confessed, she be granted a separate trial away from the afflicted. The judges denied her request, and she was held for trial. Dorcas Hoare's trial was on or around September 6th. Reverend Hale told the court that he had cautioned her against fortune-telling several times, but she did it anyway. Dorcas Hoare's style of fortune-telling involved reading the lines and or shapes in people's faces. She would then predict gloomy prophecies about a spouse or child's death. She and her family had also gotten into a bit of trouble because they were hurting neighbors and their livestock. Dorcas Hoare's husband had died an untimely death, and when the coroner's jury were examining his body, she commented, "You wicked wretches! What? Do you think I have murdered my husband?" In addition to all the other terrible things Dorcas Hoare had to suffer through at this time, possibly the most embarrassing was when the court decided that they would cut all of her hair off because they thought it was an oddly colored, ratted, tangled mess they believed imps could be hiding in. She was found guilty, and she was so broken that the next week she falsely confessed. Alice Parker of Salem town had been suspected of witchcraft for quite some time. She had been in conflict with Mary Warren's family, and her bouts of catalepsy, which we spoke about in our first video, didn't help her case either. Her husband John drank more than she liked, and she would yell at him in public. When Samuel Shattuck's son became bewitched, they tried counter magic that was supposed to lure the afflicting witch out. Because Alice Parker showed up at their home and had trouble explaining the real reason why she had arrived, they believed that she was the witch. Samuel Shattuck, however, said that it wasn't he, but another neighbor who had spoken out against her. She replied, "You are a wicked man. The Lord avenge me of you. The Lord bring vengeance upon you for this wrong." The examinations of Henry Salter, Rebecca Johnson, her daughter Rebecca Jr., Mary Tyler, Eunice Fry, Abigail Barker, Deliverance Dane, and Sarah Wilson happened in Andover before they were brought to Salem for further examination and trial. Rebecca Johnson and her daughter had supposedly attempted to fortune-tell using a sieve to see whether or not Rebecca's brother-in-law was dead. They recited an incantation they learned from a neighbor's maid while holding the sieve. and then they released it. The incantation was, "By St. Peter and St. Paul, if Haggett be dead, let the sieve turn round." And it did. Come to find out, her brother-in-law was alive. Although they did this, they denied being witches. When Mary Tyler was riding from Andover to Salem, her brother John Bridges urged her to confess. She denied and said that she wasn't a witch and asked him to stop talking about it. John Emerson also spoke to her at this time, saying, "Well, I see you will not confess. Well, I will leave you, and then you are undone, body and soul forever." She replied, "Good brother, do not say so, for I shall lie if I confess, and then who shall answer unto God for my lie?" However, the constant badgering from these two men who she loved and respected made her lose all confidence and conviction, and she ended up confessing. In fact, all of the women examined on September 6th and 7th confessed. Later, when they were sitting in jail, they were all horror-stricken by what they had done. Was no other than what was suggested to us by some gentlemen, they telling us that we were witches, and they knew it, and we knew it, which made us think it was so. And our understanding, our reason, our faculties almost gone, we were not capable of judging of our condition. As also the hard measures they used with us rendered us incapable of making our defense, but said anything and everything which they desired. And most of what we said was but, in effect, a consenting to what they said.
This video was produced with special permission from the author, Marilyn K. Roach, and publisher, Cooper Square Press. The Salem Witch Trials, a day-by-day chronicle of a community under siege, covers the years 1692 to 1697 in detail. It also touches briefly on important and relevant events before and after this time. We are proud to carry all of Miss Roach's books and publications in our museum store. To get a copy for your personal research and enjoyment, please visit www.salemwitchmuseum.com.